Imagine being betrayed by your family, sold as a slave, and thrown in jail for a crime you didn't commit. Your life's in ruins, your future's gone, and the world seems to have forgotten you. That's where we find Joseph, a young Hebrew in an Egyptian prison, clinging to hope when everything's stacked against him. But this isn't the end of his story. It's the beginning of something epic. In Genesis 40 and 41, Joseph goes from a forgotten prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt, saving a nation from starvation. This is a story of resilience, faith, and God's perfect timing. Grab a seat, because Joseph's journey will inspire you to keep going, no matter how dark it gets. Let's dive in. Joseph's life was a roller coaster of betrayal. His brothers sold him into slavery, and just when he carved out a decent life as a servant in Potiphar's house, he was falsely accused of seducing Potiphar's wife and thrown into prison. Most people would have given up, but not Joseph. Genesis says he thrived, even in chains. The prison warden saw something special in him, his strength, his wisdom, maybe his unshakable faith, and put him in charge of the other prisoners. Joseph wasn't just surviving. He was leading, turning a dungeon into a place where God's light still shone. Dreams in the dark. One day, 2 new prisoners arrived, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, both locked up for offending the king. They were restless, haunted by strange dreams. The cupbearer dreamed of a vine with 3 branches, producing grapes he squeezed into Pharaoh's cup. The baker dreamed of 3 baskets of bread on his head, with birds eating from the top one. Confused and desperate, they turned to Joseph, who'd earned a reputation as a man of wisdom. Joseph didn't hesitate. "I can't interpret dreams," he said, "but my God can." With God's help, he decoded their visions. The cupbearer's dream meant he'd be restored to his position in 3 days. The baker's dream? Not so good. It meant he'd be executed. Joseph's predictions came true. The cupbearer walked free. The baker was impaled. Before the cupbearer left, Joseph pleaded, "Remember me. Tell Pharaoh I'm innocent." The cupbearer promised he would, but as soon as he was free, he forgot Joseph completely. Can you imagine the sting? Joseph had given him hope, and now he was left to rot in prison for 2 more years. Yet he didn't grow bitter. He trusted God's plan, even when it felt like God was silent. Pharaoh's troubled dreams. 2 years later, Pharaoh himself was shaken by nightmares. In the first, he stood by the Nile as 7 healthy, fat cows grazed peacefully. Then, 7 scrawny, ugly cows crawled out of the river and devoured the healthy ones, looking just as gaunt as before. Pharaoh woke up, heart pounding, but fell back asleep only to dream again. This time, 7 full, healthy heads of grain grew on a single stalk, but 7 thin, scorched heads swallowed them up. He woke again, rattled, knowing these weren't just dreams. The next morning, Pharaoh called every magician and wise man in Egypt. He described his dreams, but no one could make sense of them. That's when the cupbearer finally remembered Joseph. "I messed up," he admitted to Pharaoh. "When I was in prison, there was this Hebrew guy, Joseph. He interpreted my dream perfectly, and the baker's too." Pharaoh didn't waste a second. He sent for Joseph, who was pulled from the dungeon, shaved, dressed, and brought before the king. After years of darkness, Joseph stood in the spotlight of Egypt's palace, face to face with the most powerful man in the world, Joseph's moment of truth. Pharaoh said, "I hear you can interpret dreams." Joseph could have boasted, but he stayed humble. "It's not me," he replied. "God will give you the answers you need." Then Pharaoh shared his dreams, the cows, the grain, the eerie way the weak consumed the strong. Joseph listened, and with God's wisdom, he spoke truth. "Your dreams are one and the same," he said. "God's showing you what's coming. The 7 fat cows and healthy grains are 7 years of abundance in Egypt. The 7 gaunt cows and withered grains are 7 years of famine, so severe it'll erase every memory of the good years. God gave you the dream twice because it's certain, and it's coming soon. But Joseph didn't stop there. He went beyond interpreting, offering a plan to save Egypt. Find a wise, discerning man to lead, he said. During the 7 good years, store a fifth of the harvest in every city. Appoint officials to collect and guard the grain. When the famine hits, Egypt will be ready. His words weren't just wisdom. They were a lifeline, a blueprint to survive a crisis no one else saw coming. Joseph didn't push himself forward. He let his plan speak for itself, trusting God to open the right doors, from shackles to a signet ring. Pharaoh and his officials were stunned. Can we find anyone like this man, one with the Spirit of God? Pharaoh asked. He knew the answer. Turning to Joseph, he said, "Since God has shown you all this, you're the one. You'll be in charge of my palace, my people, my land. Only I on the throne will be above you." In a single moment, Joseph went from prisoner to ruler. Pharaoh gave him his signet ring, a symbol of absolute authority, dressed him in fine linen, hung a gold chain around his neck, and paraded him in a chariot as Egypt shouted, "Make way." At 37, Joseph was second in command of the greatest nation on earth. Pharaoh didn't stop there. He gave Joseph a new name, Zaphenath-Paneah, meaning revealer of secrets, or savior of the land, and married him to Asenath, the daughter of a priest. Overnight, Joseph's life transformed. New name, new wife, new power. But what's amazing is how he handled it. After years of betrayal, slavery, and prison, he didn't flinch. He'd been steady in hardship, and now he was steady in success, moving with the flow of God's plan like a boat riding the waves. Saving a nation, feeding the world. Joseph got to work. For 7 years, Egypt's fields burst with crops, and he stored a fifth of every harvest, piling grain like the sand of the sea until it was too much to count. He built storehouses in every city, preparing for the famine he knew was coming. During this time, Asenath gave birth to 2 sons. Joseph named the first Manasseh, saying, "God has made me forget my troubles and my father's household." The second he named Ephraim, "God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." Those names weren't just labels, they were prayers, proof that Joseph saw God's hand in every step, even the painful ones. When the 7 years of abundance ended, the famine hit, just as Joseph predicted. It wasn't just Egypt, every land around suffered, but Egypt was ready. When the people cried to Pharaoh for food, he pointed them to Joseph. "Go to him," he said. "He's got this." Joseph opened the storehouses, selling grain to Egyptians, and soon to people from all over the world. His plan didn't just save Egypt, it fed nations. Even Canaan, where his brothers lived, came to him. Not knowing the man they'd betrayed was now their lifeline. Joseph didn't turn them away. He shared freely, showing no bitterness, only grace. What Joseph's story means for us. Joseph's story isn't just about a guy who got lucky. It's about a man who faced betrayal, slavery, and prison, but never lost faith. He could have cursed his brothers, hated the cupbearer, or doubted God when years passed in silence. Instead, he stayed humble, trusted God's timing, and used his gifts to serve others. God didn't just free him, he made him a savior, not just for Egypt, but for the world. Joseph shows us that our darkest moments can be the start of something incredible if we hold on to faith. Think about your own life. Ever felt forgotten, stuck in a place you didn't deserve? Joseph's story says God sees you. He's working, even when you can't see it. His timing isn't ours, but it's perfect. Whether you're in a prison of your own grief, failure, or fear, keep going. Like Joseph, your story isn't over. God can turn your pain into purpose, your shackles into a signet ring. Your turn to keep going. What part of Joseph's story hits you hardest? His patience in prison? His humility before Pharaoh? or the way he forgave those who hurt him? Drop a comment below. I want to hear what inspires you. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that God's got a plan, even in the dark. Hit that like button if Joseph's story gives you hope, and subscribe for more biblical stories that show how God turns brokenness into beauty. Your moment's coming. Keep the faith.